In the last video of the RX7, you guys saw we got this car tuned. It's making some sauce. We did run into a couple of small issues, which are actually not really issues at all. It's just something that I missed, but we'll get into that here in a little bit in this video. We need to fix the lighting and upgrade the lighting permanently on the FD. I ordered these Origin Works Yuma lights for the car, and they replace the running light in the little, I don't even know what you call this light. They replaced that running light right there with a nice projector and an LED bulb. So that, from what I've seen online, that's enough that you don't even need your headlight. We need to do an oil change because we just came off the dyno, replace the spark plugs because the ones that are in the car are probably super fouled out. Those are from break-in, they're from first start, from when we didn't have the full tune on the car. They're probably gonna be black when we pull them out. We have a coolant leak that I found coming from the coolant temp sensor and a power steering leak. So we are and a fuel leak. We're leaking every type of fluid out of this car except for brake fluid right now. Come with this nice projector that replaces just like a little DRL running bulb. There is gonna be a handful of wiring that we're gonna have to do to install all of this. There's a relay, there's a fuse, there's some things that are gonna have to go to a battery and a ground. Now before we get to installing these, let me show you guys what the stock ones look like. And after we get these installed, we can actually do a proper before and after, because these are, the stock ones aren't, I mean, they serve their purpose. It's a running light. So that is really all they do. They don't emit any light. They are just there as a running light. So we are gonna get this turned into something extremely functional. That is all they do, which is almost damn near nothing. I can't see anything right now. Here we have the factory light, here we've got the Yuma light. So this is from Origin Works. On the factory light, literally all you have is a tiny incandescent bulb. Like, it is nothing more than just a running light in its own. So it's not meant to illuminate the road. LED replacement with projector. So this should be more than enough. And they also have adjustment screws on the back side of the housing. So if you need to point the light up, down, left, right, anything like that, you can also do that. So pretty neat. I'm excited to see, am I supposed to heat shrink this down more? Because this is kind of loose. I don't know if I was supposed to heat shrink these down more, but I did, and they definitely got tighter after doing so it's whatever. This is the easy part. So these, they install the same way as the factory ones we just took out. Two little 8mm screws on the back side. We'll go right in. All of this through. Right there, come on. There we go. There's one side, there's two. Those look pretty good too. Come on, there's one. So the easy part's done. So you guys can see now we have that projector right there, which that is going to make such a huge difference when driving at night, guys. You have no idea. Like, if you have an RX7, I'm sure you understand the pain of just not having good functional lights in your car. And like, you can do like the projector swaps and all the other stuff to the headlights. I think that detracts from the look of the headlight. I really like the stock glass housing. I did put an LED in there. These have LEDs for the turn signal and for that fog. I'm considering that a fog light at this point. So let me go ahead and get all this wiring ran. I'll kind of show you guys after I get all this ran, kind of where it goes. This is going to go to the passenger side. It's got a breakaway connector, or not a breakaway, but a connection here, so that way we can unplug it if need be from there. We've got a fuse, a relay, a positive and a negative terminal coming off of this. One gripe I do have is I wish they would have labeled which one of these goes where. I mean, I can back probe it. I'm assuming this is the ground, and I'm assuming that this is the power, because the power is going to a relay, going to the fuse, but I would like to check. And then it also ties into the windshield wiper motor, which I find a little bit interesting. So let me get all of this installed real quick, and let's test these lights. So for the relay, I opted to kind of put the relay straight down there. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's hidden. It's not like blatantly just kind of shoved out there. The rest of the wiring kind of wraps around behind the engine with the rest of the wires that go through that loom there, connects up to the wiper motor, and then everything behind the bumper is all put in. And let me tell you, these are so incredibly bright. You don't even need headlights anymore. For the money, I think this is the best lighting modification you can actually do. That's just the running lights. That is so incredibly bright. Honestly, I don't think you're even gonna need headlights after installing these. Like, the headlights will still help, but this is insanely bright. So this is just the headlights. That's just the running lights. So when I turn them off, I mean, it's dark. It's pitch black. Turn them on. That's bright, dude. I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of hard to justify spending $550 on these. However, I see where the price comes from. These housings, just to buy them, I think they're about 120 bucks for a pair. You've got the projector, you've got the LED, you've got all the wiring. So I mean, I think in parts alone, you're probably around 350, 400 bucks, and they're selling them for 550, so they're probably making like 150 bucks a pair, which honestly, in my opinion, that's well worth it. Now that we've gotten the fun part of the RX7 done, we need to jump on the not so fun part, which is the repairs and the maintenance. It needs to be done, obviously. Rotaries are already temperamental engines. We don't want to make it more temperamental. So I'm gonna jump on the spark plugs. You guys really aren't gonna be able to see anything. The spark plugs are buried down on the driver's side of the engine, and I am gonna do them one at a time so that way I don't get any spark plug wires mixed up on the leading and the trailing side. For the plugs, we are using some that are non-leading trailing specific, so I can put the plugs anywhere in there. They're already pre-gapped, already talked to the tuner. He said, don't gap them, leave them as they are. So let's get the old ones out. Like I said, I presume they're gonna be very black. They're just probably gonna be extremely, extremely covered in soot from this thing running so rich. Plugs are out. They are most definitely just straight black, dude. They have lived a rough couple 100 miles. I went to put the new plugs in, and come to find out, they don't fit. So, I mean, technically they thread in and they would fit, but this goes so far into the rotor housing that the actual portion that you use to tighten down the nut on it goes inside of the housing, and you can't get a tool on it. So I just talked to Atkins. They set a set of OEMs aside for me that I'm gonna go pick up in the morning. Yeah, these ones, they don't fit. I was advised to buy them, but unless there's like some magical trick to be able to tighten these down, that's just not gonna work. I mean, even if you just line up where the threads go, you guys can see how much more inset that this one actually is. Now, I did fix what I believe to be my oil leak. Now, if you look right down there, right here, there's a fitting that I just put in, and that used to just be open, and apparently that's a vent for the center iron, which would make sense why there was oil going everywhere. If it's a vent for the crankcase and there's nothing on it, it's obviously going to spit oil everywhere. So I'm hoping that that is the issue that we were having. I am still going to make another vent line temporarily that doesn't use this weird 180 or 120 or 160, whatever degree bend that is for the time being, to our catch can, and hopefully that remedies the situation a little bit. I did order a weld-on -6 fitting, so that way we can make a hard line off of the old rear oil drain for when this was a twin turbo engine, so we can vent from that oil drain to the catch can as well. I just got word that my child is here, so we're gonna take a break from, I guess, that child and go deal with my other one, because they're all problem children. That's okay, that we like problem children. I see Big Bertha down there. We only need to, it's not that heavy, there's nothing in it. Look at this, look at this monstrosity. This shit's back. Look at that. Subaru's unloaded, parts are unloaded. I'm gonna do a whole video on this here soon explaining everything, but I'll give you guys a quick little sneak peek at this love child, I guess we could call it. The Subaru has now been converted as a rear engine all-wheel drive car. This is gonna be a twin turbo 3.7 liter EG33 going in this thing. So it's essentially going to be a DIY 911 turbo. So they cut out the entire trunk. There's a whole bunch of goodies in here that, like I said, I'll get to in a different video. In the front of the car, you guys can see we have our rear differential, which is now our front differential in the engine bay. So this is gonna be a fun project. Back to this. Oil change time. Let's get this thing up in the air. After coming off the dyno, I really want to get the oil changed in this thing. Like I said, it was running really rich before. We got the full tune on here for the pump gas setup, so easy enough. I mean, it's good common practice to change your oil after going to the dyno. Whoa, 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 whoa. If we can fix all the leaks and we just have a power steering rack leak, I can live with that for now, and I'll get a new rack ordered. Doesn't mean I want to buy a new rack, but I need to zip tie all this up too, because this keeps falling down. It's not looking good. The entire power steering rack is leaking everywhere in large quantities. So I could try some of that power steering rack stop leak stuff for the meantime for the short term, but I think at the end of the day, the car's gonna need a new rack. And if anybody has any suggestions on power steering racks, let me know, because I saw a couple OEM left-hand drives. Most of them are discontinued. I found some new old stock for about $2,300. I can tell you right now, I'm not spending $2,300 on a power steering rack. I will do like an electric rack conversion or go to a manual rack at that point. I don't know, but $2,300 is absurd. And I'm a little bummed about the power steering rack, to be honest. I mean, I can't be too upset, I guess. But I can still be bummed. Try to wipe up a little bit more of this oil. Dude, it's everywhere. I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see this, but on the bottom of this O-ring here, where this little adapter fitting flange thing seats, there's oil all around the O-ring, and you can see where it was escaping out the sides. So I think I'm gonna put a new O-ring in this, and then probably tighten this down and put a nut on the bottom side so it can't lift up. And then this NPT fitting here also needs to be tightened down more. So I'm gonna take it out, put some new thread tape on it, and really get this thing tight, so that way we're not getting any oil blow by outside of this fitting or outside of where it should be going on the catch can, because I think that's another leak point that we had with this little crap setup that we're using right now. I am curious to see if the catch can even caught anything. Oh, that's lovely. That's also loose. I know some of you guys are like, man, you're just ignoring the Subaru now. Like you were ignoring the Mazda when you got the Subaru. But like I said, I just want these cars, I want one car just to be completed and done. I don't want to have to keep doing this back and forth. I want one car to be done, and I want to be able to enjoy it. So the catch can was at least doing some work. It's very soupy. It's very soupy oil in here. So I mean, at least it's doing something. I mean, that is a good amount of oil though from just I mean, I guess we were pretty hard on it on the dyno. It was just pull after pull after pull after pull after pull after pull after pull. So I guess I can't be too surprised, I guess. So let me actually go dump this out. It is pretty small. We'll probably have to upgrade to a bigger one. I have a bigger one, but it just doesn't fit. I have nowhere to put it. Oh, now we're gonna do this. There we go. We're gonna need a second one of these radium ones or a bigger single, but I just don't have the space for a bigger single one than this. So, just got back from Atkins. New plugs are in. Coolant leak, I believe I fixed. I tightened up the coolant sensor a little bit more. I tightened up the water pump a little bit more if it still leaks. I have a feeling we're gonna have to take the water pump off and all of that. It's not bad to do on an RX7. It's just extra work. The power steering rack, like I said, dude, it's cooked. I let this thing sit overnight and it's just pooling up power steering fluid on the ground. Did you do that? Did you do that? Bad. Bad. I can't be too disappointed because, I mean, granted, that's the original rack that came with this car. It's 31 years old. It's got 80+ miles on it. The car sat for 10 years. The rack hasn't seen any motion, movement, or fluid in 10 years. So actually it's like 11 years now. So the couple options I have for the rack is A, try to rebuild the rack, B, send the rack out to be rebuilt. My personal experience with rebuilding racks has never been great. They always end up leaking again very shortly after rebuilding them. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Like I said, if you guys have any suggestions on the power steering rack stuff, let me know. It's like heavily leaking off of the driver's side inner axle seal or inner tie rod seal. It's quite annoying. We have the catch can emptied, oil refilled, oil changed, oil level topped off. I believe we're all good to go. I am about to go take this thing out. I need to beat on it. I have to be pretty hard on the car right here to see if that oil leak comes back and to see if that coolant leak is still there. Steering definitely is not happy. Just a couple little tests. Hey, my heat's working again. Kinda. This thing does not hook at all, dude. We're doing a burnout in third. Like I said, I gotta do a couple of just hard pulls on it. Take it back and check for oil leaks. Being a little bit better, not sure, because I tightened all that stuff down and we fixed that that one spot that we presumably were leaking oil from. Yeah, one more good hit in right here. I think we were hitting boost cut. I think it was trying to make more boost than it wanted. I hear liquid sloshing around. It's probably a fuel tank. I'll let it idle down for a sec and I want to check for oil leaks. I want to see if we're better off, worse off, or same. Obviously for our sake I'm hoping same, or better off. That power steering pump is screaming. Hey! No oil! That's beautiful. Oil leak is fixed. Power steering pump hates life. I can hear it starting to whine. Let's get you in there. You can cool off now. You did great. You did phenomenal. Look at you. Maintaining temps like a fucking champ, too. You just got power steering rack problems. Good job, FD. I'm proud of you. We need a name for this car. Betty White? Betty White! I'm kind of feeling Betty White. Oil leak, no more! All gone. So I'm guessing it was a combination of that plug and that fitting being a little bit loose, and obviously the plug not being in there. Coolant leak, I can still smell coolant, so I presume we're gonna have to pull off the water pump housing, take the alternator out, replace the gasket behind it, retighten all that down, and then retighten those sensors behind it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it all at once, so that way I'm not going back and forth doing it. Thankfully, on these cars, it's really not too bad. It's just a whole bunch of bolts up in the front here. Alternator's gotta come out. Obviously, wow, that is hot. That is hot. But big one, oil leak is gone. Now we traded an oil leak for a really bad power steering fluid leak. It's always something, right? There's always something new. So I guess RX7 is gonna sit for a little while until I figure out what to do with this power steering fluid leak. I don't want to keep driving the car and putting strain on the pump and then kill the power steering pump, because then I'm looking at a new pump, rebuilding the rack, and dude, it's already so expensive with the rack alone. I would rather just get it fixed. I mean, worst case scenario, like I said, I can buy a rebuild kit and rebuild it myself, but I've just never had good luck rebuilding racks. So we'll get it figured out. We'll get it figured out. I did order the turboloan oil fill neck to get the crankcase system properly and done, taken care of. Once that's in, once the steering rack's fixed, we'll go back to the dyno, tune this thing on the 85. But in the meantime, dude, you guys saw it on pump gas. That thing rips. I'm hyped for it, but that's all I got for you guys on this one. I will be jumping back on the Subaru now that I've got pretty much everything that I can do on the Mazda done with, up until the rest of those parts show up and we figure out what we're doing. If you're hyped to see how far the RX7 has come and excited for what is to come with it, go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be able to put it in one of these corners, no idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!